Hello, welcome to the Plant a Tree demonstration video. My name is Dana and I am here to give a short presentation and demo of Plant a Tree, an Excel add-in developed by the Soswi School of Public Health at NUS in Haitap, Thailand, with support from the IDSI. Plant a Tree is a simple and easy-to-use tool to create decision trees in Microsoft Excel. Compared with other software, it already combines costs and benefits in one tree. The cells are also color-coded, which makes it easier to use. And best of all, it's free. We created Plant a Tree to address the need for accessible software, especially for those coming from low and middle income countries. Also, we want to make decision tree modeling less daunting and more fun. We developed it for anyone who wants to create trees for any type of decision problem you may have, whether it's for operations research, economic evaluation in healthcare, which is the area where I use it the most, and even for making major life decisions. Before I move on to the demonstration, here's the link where you can download it. You may pause this video and go to gearforhealth.com if you haven't done so. Make sure to click on Download Plant a Tree for the .xla or the add-in file and download the user guide in PDF to help with installation. Please note that Plant a Tree is currently available for Windows operating system and used with Microsoft Excel 2013 or later. What are you waiting for? Let's plant a tree. So once you have downloaded and installed Plant a Tree, make sure to close Excel and relaunch it and then open a new blank sheet. To use Plant a Tree, click on the Add-ins tab, and there you should see the Plant a Tree toolbar, which has 7 buttons, and we will go through each of them in this demo. So first you want to create a decision node by clicking on the Decision button. For example, we want to compare two treatment options, and we will name this as treatment A and treatment B. To create an event node, choose either one of the ends of the nodes and click on the Event button. So you can say that these are the two possible outcomes. Let's say alive and dead. We can also add the same for treatment B. So you can rename the event nodes to represent the scenarios you're modeling, and then you can add more nodes as needed. So for example, for patients who are alive, let's say they can develop complications. So click on the cell closest to the end of the node and click Event. So let's label this first. Let's say with complications and without complications. Now going back to treatment B, the pathways could be the same. So instead of adding the new events here, you can just copy and paste what you already developed for treatment A. So click on the cell closest to the event node, click Copy, and then click on where you want to paste it, and then click the Paste button. So now that you can see that the branches from complications from treatment A have been copied to treatment B. The next step is to populate your tree with the data. You should only input numbers on the colored cells. Yellow is for costs, while orange is for outcomes. So only the terminal nodes will have the outcome cells for you to fill in. The uncolored cells have formula automatically inputted in it, so you should not change or input any value on them. So you can see here, there's already a formula. And then the green cells are for probabilities of each event occurring. So let's add some parameters into our tree. For example, treatment A claims a survival outcome of 98%, versus treatment B, which is, let's say, 55%. So we should change this to 98% or 0.98 and 55% here or 0.55. So because you have only two outcomes, the probability of dying or the mortality rate should be just 1 minus the survival probability. And we can do the same for treatment B. So change this to 1 minus 0.55, which is 0.45. So moving on to cost. Let's say A, because it promises more survival or better survival, it costs more. So let's say this is 5,000 versus only 250 for treatment B. We can add in costs for other parameters, such as complication, which is let's say the same for both treatments. So let's say this is 500, and you can input it on this yellow cell right here. So 500 and 500 as well, complications of treatment B. However, let's say the probability of complication from treatment A is higher. Let's say 75%, while only 20% for B because it's a less aggressive treatment. So let's say this is 75, and this is 1 minus 0.75, and then here it's, let's say, 0.2 or 20%, and then here is 1 minus this cell. So lastly, we can add quality adjusted life years, which is 0.6 for complication and 0.85 for without. So let's just say this is 0.6. And then you have better quality of life without any complications, so 0.85. So 0.6 again, and 0.85. And it doesn't cost anything, so you just leave this as 0. So now that you have populated your tree with data, it automatically applies the averaging out and folding back technique for all costs, outcomes, and probabilities that you inputted. So as you can see here, it automatically applies the averaging out and folding back technique. So if you replace the formula with some written value and you wish to retrieve it, you can reinitiate the analysis by clicking on the Calculate button. If you wish to add more branches, choose the cell right next to the event node, and then click the Add button. So, for example here, we realize that everyone who lives will end up having complications, but of different levels of severity. So you can add a third branch by clicking Add, and we can change the label as mild, moderate, and let's say severe. And then of course now you have to change the probabilities of getting different complications because they always need to sum to 1. So now let's say it's 75, so 75% here. Let's say this is just 0.2 or 20%, and then 5% or 0.05 for having severe complication. So if you change your mind or you realize that it's not that relevant, you can delete events. So just click on the cell closest to this event and then click delete. There. So you're not limited to comparing only two options. You can always add more if you wish to compare several strategies. So for example, you can add another treatment by clicking on the cell next to the decision node and click Add. So let's say this is treatment C. And then you can add unlimited number of branches. So that's it for the quick demonstration. If you have questions, please feel free to email us. Our email address can be found at the Plant a Tree download page at the Gear website. Thank you very much.